Hi everyone, it's Jen here, and I'm with www.myroadtoindependence.com, and as promised, I am coming to you today to talk about irrational thoughts. So, rational thoughts are normal, everyday thoughts that are true to form. So, irrational thoughts are the opposite. They are not rational, so they lack that rationality, and they are also lacking absolute truth. So they're often made up or something along the lines of untrue. So also irrational thoughts could be known as illogical thoughts, or just a lot of things that are irrational thoughts also lead to assuming. So assuming can be thrown in there too. I will, in a separate video, talk more about assuming, but it does connect with irrational thoughts as well. So factors that affect rational thoughts are stress, which can be emotional or physical, an introduction to a new or unique situation, of course, intoxication, so being under the influence of drugs or alcohol, and also peers who convey irrational thoughts is necessary idiosyncrasy for social acceptance. So what I mean by that is that when you're around people that accept certain irrational thoughts, you're likely to accept them as well because you think that that's normal. You think those are normal thoughts. And I can personally say that I've been in many situations where that is the case. I think something is normal and right, and when I really step out of the situation and take a look, I realize how it really doesn't make any sense outside of that situation. So those are just some things that can affect rational behavior. So I also wanted to talk about an article that I found on psychcentral.com, and it's about identifying irrational thoughts. So the first step to keeping your thoughts rational is to kind of analyze them a little bit. And so when you analyze your thoughts and you realize that they're irrational thoughts, they usually fall into a category. And so the categories that Psych Central has listed is one, catastrophizing. Catastrophizing. So catastrophe, right? So seeing only the worst possible outcome in everything. So you're finding all of the bad, none of the good. Also, there is minimization. It's another side of catastrophizing. It involves minimizing your own good qualities or refusing to see the good qualities in other people or situations. So instead of blowing things out of proportion and thinking they're the worst, you think you're the worst, or you think the people that you are dealing with are the worst. Next one is grandiosity, and it's having an exaggerated sense of self-importance or ability. So that's people that are overly self-confident and have a high self-worth. They can sometimes do that. Personalization is the next one, and it's having a particular unfortunate type of grandiosity that presumes that you're the center of the universe. So you think that the world revolves around you. The next one is magical thinking, and this is common in children and adults with obsessive compulsive disorder, but also seen in people with bipolar disorders as well. So they think that by doing some sort of ritual, they can avoid harm to themselves or others. They may, just think if they don't do something, something bad will happen. So that's like, counting your steps, or, different things like people that have OCD tend to do. The next one is leaps in logic. It's making seemingly logic-based statements even though the process that led to the idea was missing obvious steps. So this, I think, is a lot like assuming. So you would think that you naturally know what somebody's thinking without actually talking to them about it. the all or nothing thinking, so being unable to see the shades of gray, so you think it's either this way or this way, you can't really see them together. The next one is paranoia. So obviously paranoia kind of speaks for himself, or speaks for itself. It's being delusional in some sense. And then, of course, also delusional thinking. So most of the other styles mentioned are mildly delusional, but actual serious delusional thinking has obviously has less reality based. So it can be very, very out there instead of just being kind of partially true. So a lot of these things I have, a lot of these things I deal with, and a lot of these things people that are codependent have these things. I kind of compared my, information that I gave on codependency on here, and now I'm comparing it with this, and I see a lot of similarities. So it's actually kind of neat to be able to see the connections. So what I really wanted to get back to with all of this is that irrational thoughts can give you anxiety. Thinking things that aren't necessarily true can absolutely give you nightmares and make you feel absolutely awful about things. So for me personally, most of my anxiety comes from irrational thinking. And even in the sense of traveling, I'm afraid to travel a lot of times because I'm afraid something bad is going to happen, and I think of the worst case scenario. I use the catastrophizing step, and I think that it's definitely something awful is going to happen when I'm gone. So, and I won't be able to get back in time for it. So these are just ways that you can look at your thoughts. See if you're having anxiety one day, if you can really analyze what you're thinking. And if it falls into one of these categories of irrational thoughts, then you might need to start taking a look at your thoughts on a more regular basis. So anyways, I just wanted to give you that information, and I hope it's been helpful for you, because finding this information has always been helpful for me. So anyways, I just hope you have a great day, and thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time at www.myroadtoindependence.com. Thanks.